So welcome, David and Helene and Joni. Welcome. So nice to see everyone again. We have Dea with us and Joanne. Hi, Joanne. Hi, Karen. I was just introducing Mynoo on Facebook Live. We always start a few minutes early for this 20th Pearl of Wisdom, which is all about balance. And I know I'm excited. Mynoo's words were, this is the big one. So I guess we're all in store for a big surprise. And I'm just going to turn it over to Mynoo. And yeah, we'll have just 1 minute before we get started. And I will handle the back room for you, Mynoo. Welcome, everyone.
Thank you, Catherine. Thank you. And hello, everyone, for joining us. For me, it is 2:30 in the morning. I'm here in Berlin. And I was just sharing in the morning during my Beyond meditation session that I'm here, but it was quite something getting here because really the only travel that is allowed right now is emergency travel. So it took 1.5 hours of the authorities in Dubai to negotiate with the German embassy to allow me to be here because I have a newborn grandson, which is classified as a family occasion, and they were able to convert that. So I'm really grateful that I'm here, quarantined nonetheless for the 48 hours. Then I go ahead and take a test, and then I go and meet the family. And there really are nearly 1,000 test centers, I'm told, here in Berlin, because every country is using different strategies to open up. And in Berlin, I don't know if it is Berlin or it's Germany, but certainly in Berlin, the strategy that they've used is to have everyone test before they enter a shop. So your test has to be no more than 48 hours old. And if you wish to go to a shop or a hairdresser, you book your appointment, you get a barcode, and you get a time, and you are to present yourself there with a negative test, and then you can go in. So, we'll see what occurs, but it feels quite nice, actually. Trees have got those fresh spring leaves on it. Flowers are, the spring flowers are out there in bloom. So it just feels quite positive. At the same time, India is, reeling with, they're saying it's like a shower of COVID, where, people are just being found to be positive. It doesn't matter whether it's a child or an adult, they're all being diagnosed as positive. The main thing there, and if there are people from India that are here on this call, the main thing I would say is, whatever occurs, it still remains. There's just 3 days of stuff that happens, having been there myself. It's only 3 days where you feel that there is something, you feel the virus overload. And if you can get past those 3 days without panic and keep noticing whatever it is that you're feeling, don't ignore it, be responsible, be in a space where you can be with the feelings and unconditionally accept what is, that allows you to move forward. Start noticing what's there that you can appreciate. Because the fact that your heart is still beating, it is tuned in to the miracle of all that is there, and keep connecting to it. And that helps. That helps massively. You may feel a surge of energy when the virus load after the 3 days passes, and that surge of energy feels really great. But in a couple of days after that, you start experiencing the weakness. And again, notice that. Just don't go overboard on anything. That's all I would say. Release panic. We have a whole series on fear that we have been doing for a few weeks in Beyond Meditation in the video link. So if you don't have it, message Catherine. We will share it. I will also start sharing this on my timeline so people can be doing that. Fear in the negative connotation is the one that depletes your immunity much faster than anything else. And panic creates like a spin effect and very rapidly propels whatever symptoms you may be experiencing. So with having said that, here we are at this very special time. And today's session is all about a pearl of wisdom. It's a 20th pearl. These pearls have been chosen because each one of them is whole and complete in itself. Each one of these pearls has the capacity to, if we only ever focused on what comes through in each of the pearls of wisdom, and we focus on one of them, each one has the capability of making this a world that works for everyone. So today's one is on balance. And like Catherine was saying, this is a very non-Mynoo word. And it is a non-Mynoo word because my whole thing has been, and I was also surprised that something like balance would be a pearl of wisdom. And then, of course, I go into the 7 aspects of balance. I mean, it's interesting. What I did not get was 7 pathways. What I got was 7 aspects of balance. And the one thing that I am a stand for is all aspects of life coexisting with ease, grace, and joy. So understanding balance in these 7 aspects certainly supports that philosophy of mine, which is, living an extraordinary life where all aspects of my life can coexist with ease, grace, and joy. And when you look at something and you look at it in its fullness, and you look at it like we are going to be learning today in the form of the different aspects that make it up, you actually, with each aspect, you get closer and closer and closer to that experience of experiencing whole and completeness. When all of these come together, you are stationed in whole and complete. And as you go through each aspect and you do a deep dive for yourself, and you become more and more and more entrenched in that whole and completeness, you automatically are arming yourself with what I call as the miracle lens. And you start noticing and observing that which is making your heart sing. And here we will be doing that with balance. So let's begin with the 7 aspects of balance. The first one is about it. The phrase that is being used is bountiful. Now, it's very easy to assume that when you plug into the bounty and in the bountifulness, one can easily get carried away and go out of balance. And yet, this is the first aspect of balance, which is bountiful. So first, let's look at what that means. It basically means that the moment we take birth on this planet, we are gifted with life, this state of life. The first breath day is the day we plug into that state of life, which is we start breathing. From that point on, what is called for is for us to live that life. Live out that state of life. The moment we accept that we are going to take our next breath and the next breath and the next breath, we actually sign up to living out that state that is called as life. And the moment we make that choice, it's as if we are presented with this bounty. And, from that point on, it's about us knowing that we are born with this bountiful treasure of various ways in which we can start living this life. I have a newborn grandson. So it's very interesting. He is just over 4 weeks old. And it's very interesting to see how this little baby, as it is taking these steps to live out its life, it starts performing different functions. I mean, it's discovered its smile now. And now we see this smile. So before he would be in this dream state, and you could feel him, the smile would come on, but he wasn't conscious of it. Now that he's crossed that 4-week mark, he's becoming aware that he's born with this bounty. Remember, some of you have heard me say this, who've done deeper work with me. I talk about that when a child is born, it is the age of the soul, eternal, limitless. The human body is a mere expression, a vessel of expression of that soul. The soul presence itself is not confined into that body. So right now, this baby is still in its full soul presence. So in the soul presence, it was smiling and all of that, but wasn't consciously aware of it. Now the soul presence has got to know that it is in this human body that it is going to express itself. It started relating. And in relating, it is automatically going into its treasure trove, which is a bounty of a whole variety of ways in which it could be living out this life. And one of those ways in its treasure trove is a smile when it connects to another human being. So the thing to know about balance is that it is our access point to that bountiful treasure that enables us to live our life. So as you start examining this aspect deeper, you ask yourself the question, okay, so if I am born with this treasure, life doesn't feel bountiful right now. Things are in lockdown, things are uncertain. They're talking about 500 new variants, reigning COVID. Just when the economy had started moving, here we are, whatever it may be. You are experiencing whatever you're experiencing, your reaction and responses are whatever they are. You still have this bountiful treasure. So the first thing is, you can tap into that bountiful treasure by ignoring how you feel, and you will still get that bounty. But remember, we are in the realm of the new earth. We are in these new times where you have an opportunity to utilize what is in the treasure trove in this bountiful treasure of balance, to make your life be regenerative. So whatever resource or action or treasure you tap into and utilize, you have an opportunity for it to continue to regenerate that bounty. You don't have to use it up. But once you connect with what is going on and you ask the question, so what's the bounty here that I can tap into? You will know what that is. And you can of course begin with a sense of gratitude that you have the wherewithal to even be able to ask this question. What I found when I started implementing the 7 aspects of balance, I really found a very rapid acceleration of automatic writing. And I started writing. Now, if you can't find anything in your bountiful treasure, which can happen depending on what your emotional state is, you can begin by saying, okay, I live a life, I'm living my life, and it's made up of at least 6 different components: physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, social, and environmental. It's a full spectrum life. So you can start breaking down your inquiry into, well, let me just take my physical being. What's bountiful there? You know, if you have all of your senses working, that's one of the treasures that you can utilize. If you have that feeling, sense of feeling, where you can feel the texture of your skin, I'm just bring it closer and closer and closer to you before you expand out. And this strategy is important when you feel disconnected, when you feel you can't quite find that joy that you used to have. The closer you look at what's the bounty, and that's why you begin with the physical part, the stronger you will feel in your core, and you will be able to expand out. So get to know this bountiful treasure, which is the first aspect of balance. You have this. You have access to it. And I really find the full spectrum way of inquiring into things like this extremely enriching. So if after the physical, you go into the mental side. Your intellect would be one of those. Your ability to understand the root cause of a problem could be another. Your ability to find a state of peace even when everything around you may be chaotic. Your resilience could be another. And not everyone will have all of these, but you can certainly be in that inquiry and find what is there for you. And then you go to the emotional side. Your ability to connect, your ability to feel, your experiences that have given you this wonderful collection of emotional responses that you can tap into, like joy or happiness. Spiritual is really the connection to the spirit of you, the connection to the spirit of another, the connection to the spiritedness of nature itself. You're already starting to feel quite bountiful, just in me sharing some of this. And then you go into the social side, your relationships, the way you relate, the way you're able to contemplate, or if you are someone who's a life of the party, that ability of yours. And then you go into the environment, the place you live. Begins with your body, of course. That's your first environment, your own personal terrain. Then your home, place you work from, the nature that you have access to, even if it is on a computer, nowhere else. Because there are many people who are here logging in from their lockdown rooms. So here's what is actually happening. What's this bountifulness is giving you access to, especially when you go about it in this very personal way, and you come from your physical all the way to the environment outside of you. You're starting to chronicle all the different aspects of you that define your worthiness. And what is the honoring of your worthiness? It is dignity. Dignity is the honoring of your own worthiness, standing in that space, honoring that in others and nature itself. And it is something that we are born with. You are choosing now, consciously choosing to honor your own worthiness. Not only that, you're consciously choosing it as a treasure that you are born with, your bountiful treasure, the start. You've taken a really good big step towards balance. The second aspect of balance is anchor. It's like balance is anchoring, and it also is an anchor that you can anchor your presence. You can anchor whatever. It could be your resolve, stepping into balance, having gone through and done the deep dive on the aspect of bountifulness of balance. Your anchor is strong, and you can anchor your intention for your life. You can anchor whatever. You can anchor your goals. You can anchor what you stand for. You can feel yourself being anchored and grounded. So balance is anchoring. And the anchor of balance puts a stake in the ground. And once you have put a stake in the ground, it has an immediate effect, like a propulsion effect, that gets you into momentum very rapidly. We all have our anchors, and our anchors often are the beliefs that we hold very dearly. So, there is a belief that life's meant to be hard, and you work hard, and you can, you then deserve the pleasures that come out of working hard in life. I have a completely different belief, which is life's meant to be easy. If it's meant to be easy, you don't feel that it's easy right now. Well, start living it with ease, and it's that easiness of life starts to blossom. So that's the belief that I have, and I did not have it, for the longest time. It was when I began my journey of awakening. I would say this was one of the early awakenings that I had, that I could live this extraordinary life, at all aspects of my life coexist with ease, grace, and joy, just because I choose to do that. And even that felt like, okay, sounds pretty good, that I have control. But really, I needed to collect some evidence for myself that was so. I made that choice, and then I started, end of the day stock taking. My stock taking would be, where did ease, grace, and joy show up? And initially, it wasn't much. But I saw that the more I tracked it, the more it multiplied. Until I was literally in the middle of ease, grace, and joy all around me. And I could tap into it without becoming deluded, without being seen as someone who has their blinkers on. I could be completely empathetic, not being consumed by the empath journey, but actually be able to remain standing in what I do believe in. And that enabled me to provide the kind of support that I'm able to. It didn't just happen. I put that anchor, I came up with this belief, and I put that down as an anchor, a stake in the ground. If I am to share this, that life is meant to be lived with ease, regardless of whatever is occurring. If I am to share this, this is my stake in the ground. I am to show it to myself. I am to live it. I am to experience it moment by moment. And I am to chronicle it so that it can be taught and shared with others. So I just took it on. But really, it began with that anchor, which was a belief that I decided to hold, contrary to what has been written about. Because really, what is a belief? This is where this anchor piece is such an important thing. So you look, your beliefs give you your experience of living your life. It's a direct correlation there. So given that is the case, you know what your experience is like. And if it is something that is different than what you really want, maybe it's time to look at having a different belief. So how do you switch into a different belief? A belief basically is a thought. It's a thought that you think a lot. It's a thought that you keep thinking. So given that it is a thought and it's a thought, who has that thought? You have that thought. Now, there may be such thoughts that have been shared by people around you, which is why you've picked up that thought. And you've thought it a lot and it's become your belief. Now you're going to use this aspect of balance to have a different anchor and anchor that. So you now are free to think a different thought, which is much more in line with what you believe in, what you really want to experience in life. So think that thought, think it a lot, put in place certain practices that enable you to know that it is occurring. I call it the finger on the pulse. And allow the universe to multiply it whilst you keep that finger on that pulse. The moment you make that choice of claiming the anchor of balance, and you get clear about aligning that anchor to a resolve or an intention or a belief, you've put a stake in the ground. And that in itself creates that propulsion. And every step you take, if you start consciously tracking it, these baby steps very soon become long, tall strides until it's time to take off and fly. The third aspect of balance is about, it's live. Live is the phrase. You can say it is living it. It is really about claiming that the only reason we have been gifted the state of life is to live it and come alive. And it is in our choices of living this life that balance occurs. You're already given the bounty. Now, and as you tap into that bounty, you can use it to live your life. And you can start tracking, experiencing aliveness. So once I understood that, for me, I thought, okay, how do I know? I could be living my life, and that in itself is interesting. How do I know what feeling alive feels like? And for me, feeling alive is that feeling of flow. So I associated it with that yummy feeling. So aliveness to me, leaves me feeling yummy. You will create your own ways of knowing, and you are totally free to utilize the yummy yucky test for yourself. The third aspect is how you are choosing to live out this state of life with the intention of coming alive. What does aliveness feel like? So, when I get the thing with these pearls of wisdom is that each pearl, like I've shared before, is something that has the capacity to make your life and this world be a world that works for everyone. So I become very logical about it, because my left brain has been particularly strong. And whilst it's enjoying its creative partnership with the right brain, it doesn't like being ignored. So I go into, tracking. If I'm living my life this way, if I make these choices, what are the consequences of it? So automatically, I start connecting to the consequences far more than the actions. And I've taken it even further to engage with, I'm about to take this action. What's the consequence? Okay, will I choose that consequence? Yeah, it's okay to choose that consequence. Right, I take that action. Sometimes when I say, will I choose that consequence? The answer is no, I don't take the action. Now, this is all in the interest of a choice that I have made, which is a natural progression. Hey, if life's meant to be easy and we are meant to live this life with ease, then life really is just a state where you're breathing in and out. Living your life, brings some momentum there. And the intention of living your life is to come alive. So it is in that interest that I became very clear that when I choose to live my life, I'm choosing. What the prowess I'm exercising is that prowess of choice, which is one of the three things that we are born with. So as I'm choosing to live my life, I can actually enrich the richness of that choice by choosing the consequence before I act on it. So then I already know that my choices correlate to aliveness, which gives me this yummy feeling. The fourth aspect. The fourth aspect is about abundance. So by the time you get to the fourth aspect, I'm sure you're already feeling it. I'm certainly feeling it, even as I'm talking about it. By the time you get to the fourth aspect, you're already experiencing the richness of the life that you are living. So the more you bring the philosophy of abundance that you already possess, that already is there around you, the more it gets anchored in your field, the more it is available to you to recognize and utilize. And the key to experiencing the joys that are available to you through abundance is, the key is allowing. And it's difficult to allow sometimes when you feel you've been let down. It could be by the government, by your lover, your husband, by yourself. by your work, whatever. Don't ignore anything. In my world, you don't ignore anything. You know, whatever you feel, whatever you perceive is real to you. Honor that. But in your acknowledgement, you automatically weaken its negative hold over you. Because at the same time, when you embark on that acknowledgement track, you know, and in this umbrella of abundance, you also acknowledge that which is abundant. At the same time as you're acknowledging that which isn't. It starts to show a little bit of a perspective where multiple aspects of your life are coexisting. So once you've acknowledged both, you automatically start getting into a space of balance. And really what we want to do is to tip that balance in recognition of the richness of your life that makes it so abundant. And it happens the moment when you're feeling really down and you go into this aspect, beginning with acknowledging all that is making you feel down and all that you are feeling, it starts to weaken its hold over you, and then you engage with what is abundant right now. And you keep going down that track, and then you start looking at, well, what can I appreciate of everything that I have listed that is abundant? What's become possible for me? Now you're ready to tip that balance in favor of abundance. And it then multiplies very rapidly, because the moment you get into that state of balance, the universe gets the cue. And it gets the cue that you are the all-powerful one, and it's going to give you more and more evidence for you to know and experience the power that you do possess. Because remember, you will get to this aspect having engaged with the bounty that you already have. The tipping the balance just allows you to dip into that bountiful treasure of yours. And you just have to dip in once or twice and allow the universe to take the cue and multiply it for you. The fifth aspect. The fifth aspect is really nuance. And this is a very important aspect of balance, because the real power of balance lies in the nuance. So, there may be some really big issues that may have presented themselves like a curveball and have taken you off balance. And in the midst of all of that, it hasn't destroyed you. You're still there. And, there is what is going on right now with these new strains and all of that, the vaccines and, are they working, not working, lots and lots of stuff that's going on. The government should have done that, shouldn't have done that. Many such things are percolating that some of those could act as a curveball hit. In the midst of all of that, you're still here. When you are working through this aspect of balance, you go into the nuances. So when you go into the nuances of everything. So if there is something that has really upset you, when you start going into the nuances of what is it that's really upsetting about this, that engaging with the nuance enables you to decipher the facts from meaning. And I have done this so many times with myself, as well as many times when I'm working with my business collective, and I encourage the leaders there to implement this nuance aspects. It's pretty clear that there was something very small that occurred, and it was all of this catastrophe that might have taken place with the business came from reacting to a meaning that was given to something quite small that occurred. And then everybody just forgot what actually occurred. That was never rectified. But it was the meaning that started getting multiplied and manifesting in a whole variety of ways. And suddenly a particular aspect of the business was doing a deep dive like a train wreck. That happens in life too. So in my world, you don't ignore stuff that makes you upset. I'm not a great practitioner of positive thinking. I'm an avid follower of positive aspects of what has occurred. Getting real. Okay, this is what has occurred. It makes me feel this way. Honor yourself for feeling whatever it is that you're feeling. Consciously choosing, okay, this is what this is. So now let's go into the nuance. You may find yourself spinning a little when you go into the nuance, because so you go into, okay, so what am I really upset about? And you get something, okay, so why is that having such a charge over me? You engage with that. Wow, where did that come from? You engage with that. And very soon you realize that whatever it is that is making you upset actually is not even related to what happened. So then go back into, well, so what actually happened here? None of that meaning happened. Something, whatever happened. Well, okay, in what has happened, to rectify that, what is mine to do? And you only do what is yours to do. The rest just disappears. I was surprised at nuance being one of these aspects of balance. I saw it immediately when I applied it. It's like, okay, I get it. The best way, the easiest way, and the quickest way to decipher what happened and what we made it mean. And just interrupting that pattern of meaning multiplication. And this is, 2021, flowing in flow year. This is the time you really do keep your finger on the nuance and allow the flowing to occur. The moment you step into the meaning world and allow the meaning multiplication to occur, you don't really know where you're standing. So whilst it may feel like flow momentarily, it could disappear anytime because you don't have the grasp of what is it that is giving you that flow. So this nuance is a very important aspect of balance. When I took it on, I literally took it on, and I did the lay of the land for myself. I said, okay, right here, right now, what's going on? What's the lay of the land in my field, which is really my reality in which I'm living my life? And in understanding that lay of the land, it was like, okay, there are 4 out of the 20 aspects that aren't the way I expect them to be, causing me some, anxiousness. And there's some that I'm not that bothered about. They're just coming along. And then there are others that I'm overexcited about. But really, the lay of the land has all of this. So I could put my blinkers on and just only focus on that which is getting me very excited. And yet, all of this stuff that I've seen exist in my reality exists. So there'll be a big part of me that will have that undertone of worry and anxiety because I've ignored something in favor of feeling positive and being positive. Understanding the lay of the land is a part of implementing this nuance aspect. So understanding the lay of the land, now I can make choices. I can say, I chose to dissolve the charge in those areas that, were causing me some anxiousness. And I went into, okay, so what is it that's causing me that feeling of anxiety? Where in my body do I feel it? Okay, here. And then in no time at all, I could see that anxiety was really just an association with something that felt that way, and it turned out in a way that I didn't want it to turn out many years ago in my past. So I'm getting anxious about something that isn't even real. I'm allowing that to propel. And it did not, it literally took minutes. Transformed my entire experience of aliveness just over a croissant and a macchiato in Le Serre in Dubai recently. I didn't need to talk to anyone, nothing. I mean, that's the joy of this different aspects of balance. You can work with it yourself. And every time you do, because things like one thing leads to another, you develop a very interesting prowess of connecting the dots for yourself. That when you do step out of, okay, I've done the deep dive in this aspect, it's time for me to get on with the rest of my day. Your level of connectedness within you is so rich that is the way you show up in the world. You've honored your own worthiness when you engage with this deep dive. And that's how you show up, honoring that in others. There's a whole and completeness that's quite exquisite when you delve in this nuance aspect of balance. The sixth aspect of balance. The sixth aspect of balance is about clarity. Now, clarity, and I'm talking about full spectrum clarity. So, clarity often is associated with a mental state. I feel clear now. Yeah, I'm clear what I'm to do next. And I'm saying, as an aspect of balance, clarity is a full spectrum. It's to be looked at in a full spectrum way. So what does this mean? It means full spectrum is physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, social, and environmental. And we're going to do a deep dive in this aspect of balance across all of these. So what this means is it brings in something that those of you who have done deeper programs with me, like the Journey into Miracles, like the Living from Source, like the work that we do in the 7 Pillars of Extraordinary Results in the Federation, we have a practice, and we have a practice of clearing. So you begin the clarity aspect by clearing. And the clearing basically is, the intention of clearing is to clear anything that may be there that you are present to, good, bad, ugly, beautiful. And the intention of the clearing is to clear it so that you stand in the space of clarity and you stand in the space in the middle of a clearing. And what can you do when there is a clearing? You can literally create anything. But if you're not standing in the clearing and you are filled with baggage, filled with various vibrations and thoughts and judgments and evaluations, then it's difficult to create anything. You've got to take into account all of those things. They become encumbrances. So this aspect of balance, the clarity aspect of balance, brings forth this action of clearing. So take that time. Everything that's on my mind, everything that I am present to, that I wish to clear. What is that? You don't even have to write it because the intention is to clear it. You can just speak it aloud or even think it. Sometimes you may not be able to speak it aloud. You may be with other people. So you can speak it, you can just think it. But lay down the intention, that the intention is to clear. So that's literally, I would say, one of the first step to attaining clarity is clearing. That clearing clears you. And now you can look at consciously bringing clarity back. And clarity is, it begins with an intention. And then to attain clarity is the act of co-creation. Even if it is a co-creation with the universe, going in a way of me, Tarzan, beating your chest, I am going to do this by myself. You don't do it by yourself. You just never do. So let's just say the truth about that, and let's just leverage all the resources we have access to. And it may be that before you talk to people about it, you want to make a degree of progress. Welcome the universe as your comrade. Get clear about that the implementation or whatever it is that you get clear about is going to be a collaborative co-creation. And if you make it about coexistence, it becomes regenerative. Do the clearing first. When you go into this aspect of balance, begin with clearing first. Now, here's another piece that I got when I did this work with balance. I became clear at this point now, when you are engaged with the sixth aspect, I'm sure you will also understand this, but I'm sharing the secret of balance with you, which you get very clearly when you go through aspect by aspect. What I got was that the real power lies in balance. So when I'm balanced, I can be powerful and yet experience balance in my power. Power itself does not seduce me away from being balanced. It's balance that really is the secret to me experiencing feeling powerful. And you know, one of the reasons why you feel that way is because you're honoring you every step of the way. And you're reclaiming dignity. Dignity is one of the three things you're born with. You're born with choice, you're born with dignity, and you're born with your unique mastery. We call it the source mastery, which is your mastery in relating and relating to people. So here, As you go through the 7 aspects of balance, you are honoring yourself. You are remembering the dignity, and you are becoming a dignitarian. You feel pretty amazing by this time. And clarity is a direct consequence of being in that space. What takes away clarity often is our lack of trust in ourselves. By the time you get to this aspect and you're continuing your deep dive into it, that trust is already anchored. The 7th aspect of balance. The 7th aspect of balance is, it's exquisite because it is enchanting. Enchanting is the phrase, is the word. The 7th aspect of balance is enchanting. Now, enchanting is an experience. I first thought enchanting is a meaning. It isn't actually. It's an experience. It's a type of experience. It's a bit like yummy yucky. Enchanting is one of those nuances of the yumminess. So we began with bountiful. The last aspect is enchanting. So it's one thing to have a bountiful treasure trove. Utilizing it, living your life, creates the experiences that we call as aliveness. Some of those aliveness experiences will be enchanting. So the better you get to know what enchanting actually means for you, the higher the likelihood of you actually experiencing it for real. Enchanting also is easy, and it's meant to support you to live your life with ease. I mean, that was a statement that I could not relate to when I first received it. So for me, it was like, okay, I don't even know what this even means. I don't even know if it's an experience. I don't know what that means. I don't know what it feels like. So that became my quest. I was living in Perth at the time, in this amazing home that overlooked the Fremantle docks. So I had a lovely walk every day down to the ocean. And I decided that I'm going to make the next 7 days of my walks are going to be in the quest of enchanting, finding what it is that I feel has got that vibe of enchanting. I was quite clear at that time that I won't find it within myself. I'm going to find it outside of me. I mean, that in itself was so flawed, because really everything begins with you and ends with you. It didn't take me very long to discover that the same thing that I was finding enchanting was not enchanting for many others. So I connected the dots and I realized it's actually coming from me and my perspective and where I'm standing. So, do that for yourself. Wherever you are, whatever you may be feeling, in amidst that, what is it that gives you that experience of enchanting? It was very useful to know that enchanting is an experience. And as you embark on this wonderful quest of enchanting, literally the first step I took out from my home, in this first walk of finding the enchanting experience, I see this blossoming of the cyrus, which is a particular cactus that blossoms only once a year. I had no idea what this thing was. It just was amazing. There's so many layers of beauty that was there. I was like, my jaw dropped and I just stood there, I don't know for how long, talk about making that choice to find what's enchanting. I was enthralled, enchanted, completely illuminated. And if you can't get into that inquiry of it, just use it as a B word. Choose to be enchanting because you choose to. Define what that even feels like. It could be that takes my breath away. And then, get on with whatever it is that you wish to get on with. By the end of the week, enchanting will become a very real experience. And by this time, this is the 7th aspect of balance. You will be in that power of balance, and you will feel powerful and yet remain balanced. So these are the 7 aspects. I totally get how balance is one of the pearls of wisdom that can make this world a world that works for everyone. Over to you, Catherine.
Well, Mynoo, I have to say the big wow on that one too. You did say it was going to be big. I just gave up taking notes. So there was so much I'm going to have to go back and re-listen to this again and again. But I love this enchanting quest and the discovery of living in balance. I think that for me is my closing statement. And if everyone would like to share a word or a thought or a closing sentence that I can share with Mynoo, I'd love to read those for her. And once again, we got to share in a magical experience with you, Mynoo. Always a delight. So if everyone can go ahead and put their comments in, and I'll read them for Mynoo. For me, the bounty in life is nature. Love that. BYOB-U. Oh, I love that. Delightfully enchanting, balanced awareness. Absolutely. Magical. You make my heart sing. Absolutely. Balance is the key to awareness. Thank you so much, Mynoo. Light-hearted and grateful. Absolutely. At first I read that as graceful, and it was both graceful and grateful. So enchanting. I love it. The ocean brings all aspects of balance here to me. I didn't even have to read who that was from. Oh boy. Feel expanded by this journey. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Graceful, full of grace. It is true. There's such an expansion that we get to experience after these sessions, these pearls of wisdom, they are so full. I mean, it's like a whole, it's like a whole year of information that gets crammed into this 1 hour that we get to spend together. I love it. Magnificence, majestic. Life is fun and filled with awareness. Love that.
Beautiful. Thank you all. Thank you so much. I will see you all on Saturday at Beyond Meditation and next week for our next pearl. Thank you. Thank you, Catherine, for hosting.
Oh, thank you, Mynoo. So good to be back. Missed all of you. And we'll see you next week right here, Thursday.
Bye-bye.
Bye.